The moon hung low in the night sky, its pale light casting an ethereal glow on the crumbling remains of the old chapel. The forest surrounding it was dense and dark, a labyrinth of ancient trees whispering secrets to the wind. This was the domain of Elysia, a creature of beauty and terror, whose name was both a curse and a warning. Elysia had been human once. Centuries ago, she lived in a quiet village nestled at the edge of this forest. She had been kind, with laughter that rang like chimes in the breeze, and hair the color of honey under the sun. But kindness was often not enough to shield one from envy and cruelty. Accused of witchcraft by those she trusted, she was betrayed, dragged to the chapel, and left for the wolves. The wolves never came. Instead, a figure cloaked in shadows appeared, a vampire drawn by her blood and the injustice of her demise. It offered her vengeance and immortality, and in her dying breath, she accepted. When Elysia awoke, the forest was no longer her cage but her kingdom. Decades passed, and the legend of the vampire queen grew. Travelers vanished, and hunters who dared to enter the woods found only death. Elysia ruled her domain with a quiet, ruthless grace, feeding sparingly and choosing her victims with care. She took no pleasure in their deaths but saw it as a necessity of her existence, a price she paid for survival. One night, as the mist curled like ghostly fingers through the trees, Elysia encountered a girl lost in the forest. The girl, barely more than a child, was frail and trembling. Her name was Lila, and her wide eyes told a story of suffering and fear. "Are you lost, little one?" Elysia's voice was soft, yet it carried an otherworldly weight. The girl nodded, tears streaming down her face. "They said I was a witch. My own family cast me out." Elysia felt the ache of familiarity in those words. She knelt before Lila, her cold hands brushing the girl's cheek. "Do you know what I am?" Lila nodded again, though her eyes showed no fear. "You're the one they whisper about. The queen of the forest. And you do not fear me?" "No," Lila whispered. "You are like me." For the first time in centuries, Elysia hesitated. She had seen countless faces, felt countless hearts cease their rhythm beneath her touch. Yet here was a child who mirrored her own pain, her own scars. Elysia took Lila under her wing, offering her a home within the ruins of the chapel. Days turned to months, and Elysia found herself changing. She laughed again, her ancient heart lightened by Lila's presence. The child's curiosity was boundless, her innocence a fragile thread weaving through the darkness of Elysia's existence. But the forest was no sanctuary. Word of Lila's survival spread, and one fateful night, torches flickered in the distance. The villagers had come, armed with silver and fire, to rid themselves of the witch and her protector. Elysia stood at the chapel's threshold, her eyes burning like embers. "Stay inside," she commanded Lila, her voice steady despite the storm brewing within her. The villagers surrounded her, their shouts echoing in the night. "Monster! Witch!" they cried, their hatred a dagger aimed at her heart. Elysia stepped forward, her shadow stretching long and ominous under the moonlight. "You come to destroy what you do not understand," she said, her voice carrying the weight of centuries. "But you will not take her from me." The battle was swift and brutal. Elysia moved like the wind, her strength and speed overwhelming. Yet even as she fought, she knew the cost. Her immortality came with rules, and the breaking of them feeding in rage, killing without necessity would bring the wrath of the elders, the ancient ones who governed their kind. When the last villager fell, silence descended. Elysia turned, her once pristine gown stained with blood. Lila stood in the doorway, her small frame trembling. "You did this for me," Lila whispered, tears in her eyes. Elysia knelt before her, brushing a strand of hair from the girl's face. "For you, I would do anything." The elders came before dawn, their arrival heralded by an unnatural chill. They were merciless in their judgment, sentencing Elysia to eternal slumber for her transgressions. She accepted her fate without protest, her only plea that Lila be spared. The elders agreed, binding Elysia in chains forged from starlight. As they sealed her within the chapel's depths, she whispered to Lila, "Live, little one. And when you are strong enough, remember me." Centuries passed, and the forest grew silent once more. But deep beneath the ruins of the chapel, Elysia waited, her immortal heart beating faintly in the darkness, her dreams filled with a single hope, that one day, Lila would return.